Okay, so let's jump right into a huge question. Is a country's constitution something set in stone, a contract that binds us forever? Or is it more like a living guide, something that's meant to evolve right along with society? This is, without a doubt, one of the biggest questions any democracy has to face.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start by unpacking this central conflict. Then we'll dig into the two main philosophies, one that kind of anchors us to the past, and another that lets us grow. We'll even look at a really cool real world case from India to see how this all plays out. And we'll ask, is there a middle ground? But most importantly, we'll see why this whole debate isn't just for lawyers, it actually impacts our day to day lives.
And right here, this is the heart of the problem, isn't it? I mean, think about it. These documents were written decades, sometimes centuries ago. How on earth can they help us solve challenges the authors never even dreamed of? Things like digital privacy, AI, climate justice, you name it. It's this tension between a fixed historical text and our crazy, fast-changing world that we're really going to get into. All right, so to try and solve this puzzle, two major schools of thought have popped up over the years. Let's break them down. You can really boil down the two main views with a couple of powerful metaphors. On one hand, you have the Constitution as an anchor. The idea is that it's a fixed contract holding us steady and tying us to the original vision of the founders. But on the other hand, you have the Constitution as a tree. This view sees it as a living, breathing thing, a dynamic guide that has to grow and adapt as the world around it changes. So that anchor idea, that's a philosophy called originalism. Proponents of this view will tell you that sticking to the original meaning is absolutely crucial. Why? Because it gives us stability and predictability. It's supposed to prevent judges from just making things up or injecting their own personal politics into the law. The goal is to honor the will of the people who actually wrote and approved the document in the first place. Now, on the flip side, we've got that living tree concept. This is often called the living constitution theory. And the argument here is that for a constitution to mean anything, to actually be a force for justice, it has to be read with our modern understanding of the world. The idea isn't to just throw out the past. No, not at all. It's about taking those core, timeless principles and figuring out how to apply them to the challenges we face right now. So what this really boils down to is a fundamental trade-off. Do we go for the stability and the clarity that originalism promises by sticking to history? Or do we lean into the moral progress and modern relevance that the living Constitution offers? It's stability versus adaptability. And that right there is the core of the whole debate. Okay, so this all might sound a bit abstract and academic, but how does it actually play out in the real world? Well, let's look at an amazing case study. India. India's Supreme Court has really, and I mean really, embraced that living tree idea, and it's fascinating to see what that looks like in practice. You see, when India's constitution was written back in 1950, it was never meant to be just a simple rule book for the government. No, it was designed with this incredibly ambitious, transformative mission to fundamentally reshape Indian society and tackle these deep historical injustices head on. It was a forward-looking document from day one. And this timeline here really shows that evolution in action. Look at 1973. The Supreme Court comes up with something called the Basic Structure Doctrine. This was huge. It basically said there are some parts of the Constitution so fundamental, so core to its identity, that not even Parliament can change them. It's like protecting the roots of the tree. Then jump to 1978. The court expands what personal liberty means, saying any procedure has to be just, fair, and reasonable. That's a new branch growing. And then fast forward to 2018, where the court applies these evolving ideas of dignity and privacy to decriminalize same-sex relations. The tree's bearing new fruit for a new era. And this quote right here, from one of the justices in that landmark 2018 case, just perfectly sums it all up. It says the Constitution should be seen as a dynamic text that embodies the values of an evolving society. I mean, you can't get much clearer than that. The court is explicitly stating its philosophy for everyone to see. But wait a minute. Is it really just a simple choice between being anchored to the past or a tree growing wild? What if it's not so black and white? A lot of legal thinkers say, hey, maybe there's a middle path here, one that actually combines the best of both philosophies. One of the most powerful ideas for this middle ground comes from a philosopher named Ronald Dworkin. He called it law as integrity, and he had this great analogy. Think of judges as authors writing a chain novel. Each new judge has to write a new chapter,
But here's the catch. Their chapter has to make sense with all the chapters that came before it. It has to respect history and precedent, but it also has to move the story forward in a principled way, always aiming for a better or more just ending. It's a beautiful idea, right? So you could break this approach down into what you might call principled pragmatism. It's like a three-step process. Step 1, anchor everything in history. You have to start with the actual text and understand its context. Step 2, you have to allow for evolution. Use moral reasoning to adapt those core principles to today's world. And step 3, and this is so important, ensure transparency. Be crystal clear about why you're interpreting things in a new way so people trust the process. It's a real attempt to get that balance between stability and justice. Okay, so at this point, you might be thinking, this is interesting, but why does this abstract legal debate really matter to me? Well, it matters a ton because the way judges interpret that foundational document has massive real-world consequences that shape the society you and I live in every single day. I mean, just look at this list. Your civil rights and personal freedoms, the laws that protect our environment, the future of your privacy online, the scope of gender equality, even the balance of power in government itself. All of it, and I mean all of it, can hinge on how a judge interprets a few words written hundreds of years ago. This is not just some dusty old theory. It's literally the operating system for our daily lives. When you really get down to it, this whole conversation isn't just about legal interpretation. It's a fight over the very role of a constitution. Is its job just to preserve a static agreement made a long, long time ago? Or is it supposed to be a dynamic instrument, a tool that we actively use to try and build a better, more just society for the people who come after us? And that leaves us with the big final question, doesn't it? Is a constitution a fixed contract that we should preserve under glass? Is it a moral guide that we're constantly updating? Or is it something in between, a careful blend of both? The answer that a society lands on doesn't just define its laws, it really defines its character. And that, for sure, is a conversation that's going to keep going for generations to come.